Okay. Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of my podcast. Today we're having John Choque. He's a very friend of mine from a very long time ago. First of all, we want to thank our sponsors that are La Republica and also Techmark. After the sponsors, John,
Hey Sam, how are you?
I'm fine. Fine. I'm supposed to ask the questions.
Yeah,
Nice one. Okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just here in Bolivia since like 3 days now.
Okay.
Just trying to have some vacations, free time, away from everything for some time, and yeah, just overall great.
Okay. I understand now you're based in Denmark. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yeah, yeah. I'm doing a master's, an
Mhm.
Erasmus master's there,
Okay.
about digital communication.
Mhm.
Um, like in few words, it's just about how technology is changing societies and
Mhm.
what we can do about it because there's a lot of unethical stuff happening out there.
Okay.
And yeah, just being aware of that.
That's nice. What's really not shocking to me, but at least discovering this was at least how to say this moving. It's that we are from La Paz City,
Mhm.
and here we have this career called system engineering, and it's believed that every person that gets a degree in engineering has to be coding. Like
Mhm.
that's the only way to go, and that's not true. Like
Mhm.
how was for you to change this path, which abroad it's just normal that it's only here that it's not commonly accepted.
Yeah, it's actually a good question because you know, I always it's interesting because my thesis for my
Mhm.
bachelor's was really philosophical because it was about knowledge management,
Mhm.
but I also had to work on what was the definition of knowledge. And while working on that, I realized that I like it more this side of trying to understand the world, um, while also creating it. So sometimes you just like see people who develop artificial intelligence and they do great stuff there, but then they don't really care about the ethics behind the models they create, and they just end up enhancing the racism that the data sets have, and it's just awful. So once I started to realize that, I was like, this is not for me. Just like, I'm not saying it's bad to only code because it's like a lot of things that you can do with it. But I
Right.
think it's important to be aware of the politics of any kind of code you create, which
Mhm.
is always overlooked because people don't really care about it. And it's also not that important. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that's pretty critical. I remember seeing your thesis, like you showed me
Oh yeah,
those years, yeah, many
long
years
time
ago,
ago.
like 2017, I guess.
More or less 18 actually.
18,
Yeah, yeah.
18. In the end, what you did was this knowledge, like database, I guess.
Knowledge management platform.
Okay. And how that went, by the way.
It was good. I mean, it was interesting because I kind of used state of the art technologies,
Mhm.
and I was also using graph databases.
Okay.
So it wasn't something though that common. And I remember when I was in my presentation, people would just like the people that were there, the jury, they just asked it like how you gather the data. They didn't really ask anything about the project itself
Okay.
because it was like so philosophical that people didn't really like get it
Yeah,
at first. You
I
had to.
remember that. I remember that. Yeah, that happened to me as well. So when did you switch from this mentality to program this thing to moving forward communication?
So, I mean, this digital communication is also about coding because
Mhm.
we have also machine learning, for example, as a subject. But like digital communication in this sense is more about how digital technologies shape societies.
Mhm.
So that includes, any kind of computer platform, any kind of media, channel,
Mhm.
any kind of podcast. So it's all about the digital world. It of course includes the metaverse, for example, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's not really changing, but being more aware of more
Okay.
topics. Yeah, because we were, for example, reviewing the politics of platforms and
Mhm.
how, for example, like whenever you have a platform, um, this platform has its own rules that it creates. And then who defines those rules? It will be, of course, the platform owners. But then how can a global platform follow the rules of a platform owner that is from a specific part of the world? without really having any clash. So it's a really high complex situation, but
Yeah, it's also related a lot how we perceive how we even perceive the world, right?
yes, yeah.
So let me ask you, you've been traveling a lot these years. I know you've been to 21 countries, I guess.
Yes,
Have this impacted the way you work on this, or
yeah,
how?
yeah. So
Well, of course we know it has, but
yeah,
how?
yeah. So I think like you start to notice other patterns in society.
Mhm.
Like you start to see how other people behave in other parts of the world. And then if you have like try to understand why they think in that way, you get to know that what you're doing might not be the best thing, and you can probably indirectly affect other people just because you want to do something in your own way and you think that's the best way and you will get a lot of results, a lot of customers, a lot of stuff there, but in the end it's just hurting other people, so then there were like small things changes that for example, my first international experience was in Japan.
Okay.
So it was like a complete shock because everything was different, like from the drivers, the side of the drivers where they drive, from the language, of course, that's a huge
Culture.
thing.
Let me cut you here. Let me
Mhm.
interrupt you here.
Sure.
This guy here, John, he went to Japan speaking little bit of English. Like
Yes.
he was like, oh, I don't fully speak English right now, but I'm gonna learn it. So give me the scholarship, please. I promise I will learn. It was
Yeah.
like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
In the end, you managed to do it, but oh man,
Yeah, it was crazy because I was just confident that I was able to learn there, and I was not going to give up.
that's some nerve, man. That's some nerve.
Yeah, because like sometimes you just see like these other people doing great things,
Mhm.
and it's easy to think that you're not that good. You're not good enough to achieve what other people are seeing. And with social media and stuff, it's of course easy to see like your friends are like traveling around the world, or they are
Yeah,
just
it's like you always show your best side
yeah,
of
of
you on
course,
internet. You don't
yeah,
show the boring time. You don't show whenever you're struggling for something.
exactly. And then like you might think that you're not good enough, or you don't have the capabilities, you don't have the education, you don't have the background. Even people think that the country where they come from is a challenge, is a barrier for that. And it's like,
Mhm.
no, it's just like trying and not really giving if like for anything. You just keep
Okay.
trying and it just works.
I know, right? It's like you have to believe in yourself. I think
Yeah, I
first
mean,
of all.
not really. It's just like about trying. Like it doesn't matter if you fail. You have to be comfortable with failing,
Yeah, that's right.
because like I can try, for example, right now to, I don't know, create ethical AI. Okay, that's a different issue. uh, I can probably try to, I don't know, create a startup or go to work for an international company. And if I'm fine with failing and not really caring if they say no, then you will try things with more freedom,
Yeah.
right? And it's like I think everything in my life has been like that. Like every single scholarship that I applied to, I never believed that I was going to get it, but then you just like get a positive response, and they're like, "Oh, okay, then I can go to the next step," and just because you add stress to yourself, and then that stress just makes you feel even less capable of doing things.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's
Well, I'm pretty into trying stuff, not because I'm comfortable with failing now, which I wasn't in the past. But the thing is, this phrase kind of changed my life. It was like there's people less capable than you doing the stuff you want to do because they just try.
mhm, exactly.
Yeah.
And like I remember when I was in Norway in 2018.
Mhm.
I was in this program for it was called Young Sustainable Impact. So it was about people.
YSI.
Yes, exactly. They wanted to have 20, 24 people around the world to create sustainable companies and then get funding from people in Norway. So it was really legit. But then I started to meet, like, once I got into the program, I saw all these people doing amazing things, like living a sustainable life, like real sustainable life.
Mhm.
I've seen other people who were, just like I have one friend that's is like crazy because he does like he's in the army in South Korea. He has his own startup for space exploration, He is also a biker, and like he's also do scuba diving all the time. It's like if you follow him, you see him doing every single thing all the time.
Okay.
And then when you have this mindset of comparing yourself, you see like, man, I do nothing with my life, and then you just feel more bad every time. And what they taught me was that it doesn't really matter how people are successful in life. It's more about how you define your own success.
Mhm.
um, so yeah, I know it's always like cool to meet other people around the world and understanding that it doesn't matter if you're good enough for what they are doing.
Yeah, sometimes being successful, probably, well, for someone, it's just to um, getting to keep themselves together. It's like
Exactly.
it may vary, the definition may vary, and well, I'm not really comfortable with the term hate. I don't really hate anything, but I really dislike people who just think that successful is just having money. Like
Yeah, and it's like a really interesting perspective because you get to see people who are just thinking of money and many ways to get more income. And I understand, from a capitalistic
oh, sure,
perspective,
yeah.
because for example in the US, like it's hard if you don't produce a lot of money,
Mhm.
because the healthcare is not that great, and like other issues that
Yeah,
the
the
country
life in the
has.
States is very expensive these
Exactly.
days.
So based on that understanding, then I might see that other people
Sure,
just wanted that.
we all can get it because it's the system we are living in.
Hmm.
Still, I guess the background should not define the shape of your.
So then I can ask you one question here. How do you
Sure.
define success for yourself?
Okay, for myself, it's quite different than the average concept. For
Mhm.
myself, I guess happiness, success,
Mhm.
success, is to always give the best of me in what
Mhm.
I'm doing.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah, so whenever I'm doing the best of me, I'm feeling successful. And so far, it's been a goal I've been accomplished.
Mhm.
It's like when I was in university, I really wanted to take this Switzerland thing,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
and I don't know, I put my mind of it. I was trying, and in the end, I got it. And man, that was life changing, like all the perspective I got, rather than the experiences with that, by the way, were awesome. What I value the most is that I get more perspective on life.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. That's always what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, you also live in Switzerland.
Yes, back in 2016.
Hmm.
It was only 7 months, but I learned how like people live there,
Yeah.
like how expensive things are.
Yeah, Switzerland, it's very expensive. It's
Yeah.
like, man, what, 80 Swiss francs for train per month?
I think it's 60.
60, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like 60 euro. Oh no, it's actually francs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Swiss francs.
It's just too much. I mean, it's of course unlimited rights, but then if you go every day, I mean, it doesn't really add up. It's too expensive.
Yeah, I guess you were enjoying the benefits of being under 25 years old at the time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I'm 27 now. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so it was cheaper.
Yeah, right. Because these have these cars like the Glycerin and
Yeah.
the Half Pass, right?
The Halfer, yeah,
Yeah, the Halfer.
Half.
Something like it's like a
How it's
medium.
pronounced in German? Halftag.
I don't know.
Halftag.
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you should have like discounts, like unlimited rides from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Glide 7.
The Glycerin.
I have to tell you, there's no Glide 7 anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, with the situation, I would understand that. But I had that,
Nice.
so it was like it was cool because like the thing that happens here in South America is the countries are so big that it's hard to travel to other places.
Yeah,
right?
they are so far away.
Yes, but in Switzerland, like being in Switzerland in the middle of Europe, it was so easy to go. Like
You're 2 hours ago from everywhere.
yes, like to Milano, it was like 2 hours and a half
Mhm.
train to Munich, to
2 hours as well, I guess.
yeah, something like that. To Vienna, no, to Vienna was a bit longer, but it's still like easy to get
From where I was living very in the north, like almost. It was 15 minutes to Germany in car.
there. Yes.
So
Yeah, you just go like in the train, or you just go to the front, like to the borders, and then you just like cross another country, right?
Yeah, all this happened to me one time. You know how you have to buy the ticket to get a
Yes.
train.
Hmm.
So I ride this wrong train because I confused the class.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and it was going to Germany. And I was like, if
Ah,
the billetten controlling,
shit.
which
Oh,
means the ticket
gosh.
control, happens to get me, well, I can get in trouble. So I was like, what do we do? What do we do? Thankfully, now you can purchase the ticket in app.
Yes.
So I was like,
Yeah.
purchase.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also like kind of
By the way,
complicated because like in some places in some countries they have a different system, right?
mhm,
So I remember, for example, when I was in Bratislava,
mhm,
in Slovakia, they didn't have this online system, so
okay,
you had to buy it in the place, at least do it like within the city. If you want to
mhm.
travel to a different place, then there are some apps that allow you to buy international trains, but
Mhm.
it's always
Yeah, it's kind
complex.
of different. Also, by the way, I was living there 1 year, and in 1 year, I think I guess riding the train daily got no more than 10 ticket controls. I think.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's an interesting take. What they do is basically they allow you to get into buses, trains, and everything, and they won't control it every day. It's just randomly
Yeah.
sometimes, and they just like it's. You will always have it in the back of your head. Oh, I have to buy the ticket because if today comes by chance, then I will get in trouble. I will get fined. But otherwise, you can like if you don't really care and you don't have like that sense of acknowledging the issue, then
Mhm.
you can basically just go free everywhere. But people don't really do it. Or did you do
Yeah.
it
No, I
actually?
guess no. Nobody really living in the city will do it. It's
Mm.
just maybe tourists who don't know how it works.
Yeah, that's always a good excuse, like, oh, I didn't know how it worked.
Yeah. I thankfully I didn't have to play that card.
Uh,
I was just thankful because I was like, maybe one day I just screw up and
exactly. And then they
thankfully I
fine you
didn't.
like 100 francs, right? Or
Yeah,
yeah.
what
Like imagine you can spend that money on I don't know whatever, and it's just like just because you forgot to buy like one two franc ticket,
yeah,
and it's
it's
not
like
worth it.
you can buy that much food with 100 francs in Switzerland. It's so expensive.
Actually, this reminds me like once I was traveling from Budapest to
Hmm.
Bratislava, and I remember that I used one of these international like apps,
Hmm.
and like I bought the station to station. I bought it. It was all good. And when I ride the train, I got to a station called Ege Shalom. That it was in the middle of nowhere
Hmm.
because there was no direct connection from Budapest to Bratislava. And the issue was that my ticket, because the system couldn't find a connection, just bought it to there.
Oh.
I was stuck in the middle of nowhere,
Hmm.
like thinking I was going to arrive to a different city. And I just, had to go to the station, buy the
Hmm.
ticket, and thankfully they had a machine.
Okay.
And they had like two machines only. It's like it was in the border between Hungary and Slovakia.
Hmm.
There is nothing there, Like it was like I was like so stressed because I didn't know what to do, and like the station was just like two rail trains.
Those were your first days living in Europe,
No,
or
no, that was like two
oh,
months
years.
ago, three
Oh
months
my
ago.
god.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like you just like start to trust so much these platforms
Uh
that you
huh.
don't really check. And I didn't do it. It was a humbling experience. Now I always double check what they tell me, but it's important. Like when you have these platforms, it's easy, but at the same time, it depends on the connections, right? And there are some countries that are not well connected, and it's just you can just get stuck in the middle of nowhere.
I know, right?
Mm.
How is so different from where you're living now, from Denmark?
Oh man, Oof, okay. Denmark is a different thing
Okay.
because it's everything is digital. Everything. Like I remember when I was arriving here in Bolivia, I had my COVID certificate, vaccination
On your
certificate
phone,
on
yeah.
my phone because everything is there.
Hmm.
And then I see these other people like with their papers,
Uh huh.
with
Yeah.
like folders and so on. I was like, man, they won't allow me here. And then they just check it was fine. But you get this idea and you get used to have everything like in your phone
Yeah, same
online.
in Switzerland. It's like it's the opposite way of thinking here in Bolivia than in Europe. Here, it's like the logic is if you have it printed, it can be fake. If it's on your phone, it might be fake.
Yes.
In Europe, it's the other way around. It's like if it's on your phone, it's real. If it's printed, it can be fake. So
Yes. And that's because like they have these official apps, right?
yeah, right.
It's like, and of course here the people like the government's not able to provide quality apps, which I
Mhm.
don't blame them, because it's also like a lot of digital divide here. Like having people who, even though they have phones, they don't know how to use them, or even if they know how to use them, they don't get the same benefits because it gets too complex at some point, right? So yeah, I mean, the only thing that I don't really like personally like a lot
Mhm.
in Denmark is the weather,
Okay.
because it's too windy. And like here, the wind that we have here is nothing. Like this is normal everyday thing. But in there, you can basically lean a bit forward, and then the wind will come and it won't let you fall. It's
Nice.
really that strong. And also like the transportation is actually not the best,
Mhm.
but probably they are just trying to do a lot of improvements. But I have some issues with it. Like they don't the connections are fine, but then there are some trains that are in maintenance for a really long time, and it's hard to get to some places sometimes. And then you are like late for class in university, and then the train is not working, and you have to take a bus. And like, but besides that, everything's great. Like,
Oh, nice. So, are you living very far away from the place you're studying at, or?
not really. I mean, it's like 30 minutes, right?
Mhm.
Um, with waiting time in the middle, because I have to take a train, I have to take a metro, and then I
Mhm.
have to take the bus.
Okay.
Because the university is not really in the center, but it's on the way to the center, so it's good.
Okay. By the way, how's your master's going? Because every program in Europe it's different.
Yes. So, in what sense going? Like,
Is it going okay in Wales on track?
yeah, I mean, I really have no complaints about it. Thankfully, my grades are fine. I
Mhm.
mean, I've been performing as good as I expected.
Nice.
And it's like because like the exams are oral exams,
Mhm.
so then you just have like to read and try to understand the thing, and then just explain it to the professor, and then you will pass. It's easy to
Nice.
pass. It's hard to get good grades.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but I just like to have good grades, so I spend my time studying a lot.
Awesome, man.
It's-
Oh man, I really like when people is just like that, like challenging themselves and performing the best they can. So how's people in Denmark?
so okay, one thing that I noticed in Denmark is that they are really open-minded. They are really kind. They will never reject you giving instructions or directions. They will always open to just help you anytime you need help. And it's interesting because when you see them in the street, most of them have like this serious stoic face, but then when you talk to them, they start smiling. And it's just nice. Like, I haven't had an issue, and everyone speaks English.
Oh yeah,
Haven't met any person who is not able to, which is also happens in Switzerland.
yeah. It
Right?
goes like this. Like, do you speak English? Oh no, I don't really speak English, just a little bit. They proceed to speak English like they have native
Yes.
accents. Like,
Yeah. It's
oh,
just
so you don't speak English? No, no, I don't. I don't.
yeah.
It's like,
That's how they say
are you
it.
sure you don't have a C1 certificate over there somewhere? And they go, maybe, maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
It's cool.
good. Like
What's the language in Denmark, by the way?
they speak Danish.
Danish.
Danish, yes. Which is like similar to German.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know some German, you kind of get some words.
Mm-hmm.
But then yeah, like I'm starting to get confused between German and Danish, so I don't
Mm-hmm.
really like try to engage too much in either of them. Neither of them.
Okay, so you're
So
not setting as a goal to learn the language.
yes, not yet at least. I mean, it really depends because I like more the German area of Europe,
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like home there. But I'll see. I mean, there are a lot of good opportunities in Denmark for developers and people who care about sustainability, because they really care about it. And I might just stay because of that. I mean, it really depends. I still have 1 year left in my master's, so
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, the German-speaking part of Europe, I feel it's due to the language, but it's way more organized than the other parts of Europe.
yes, it's really strict.
Mm-hmm.
They, it very well, right?
Yeah.
Like they like to be on time. They like to just do the things based on these manual instructions.
Mm-hmm.
They want break the rules just because they
They can.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I know, I like that.
Yeah, me
I
too. Me
remember
too.
talking to a person that was from Spain,
Hmm.
and that he told me that he didn't like that because he liked more this. um
Spanish is the going flow.
yes, but not because it was an easy going, but because there were a lot of surprises every day. You don't have
Oh,
a day that's similar to the previous one,
yeah.
which is an interesting perspective to me, because I like the other thing, to have a similar day and then I can shape it in the way you want.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, I don't know, it's cool to see how people just, you know, learn to understand other cultures, and then they just to get it, to embrace it, and they just love it. It's the best part of traveling, I think.
Yeah, I think there's something good in both of them. Like our country is, well, it's, I'll say, the kind of not that strict and organized going.
Mhm.
It's more like let it flow. It goes like that in the
Yes.
past.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is terrible sometimes. They go like, ah, I'm gonna block the street today. Yeah, I feel like doing that. And there you
Yeah.
are in the traffic and you can get anywhere.
Yeah. But I mean, you get to love that eventually,
Yeah,
because like
sure.
you see that people care about the things changing.
Hmm.
It's like trying to understand.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't block
Hmm.
streets. Like I wouldn't do that, but like if people want to do it, that's cool. I like the freedom that people have here.
Hmm.
That's something that's always good to appreciate, because it's also like in these German speaking countries, of course they have the same freedom, but it's not sometimes socially acceptable to do certain things, while here people don't really, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's like, you had, of course people will judge you, but somehow I think you get to give less value to the judgment of other people.
Hmm.
I don't know, that's, I think, what I feel here.
Yeah, I feel kind of the same with some things.
Mm.
And also that being so open leads to, well, at least some culture stuff that, as you were saying, it's accepted and you can express yourself a little bit.
Mm.
Still, well, I was wondering, how are you managing balancing your studies um, with your entrepreneur? Like.
Yeah, so one thing that's always happens here is that it's hard to define what I'm doing,
Mhm.
because I've been doing this, like, music from one side,
Mhm.
um, art in general, different kinds of art, and at the same time I like have to study, and I have to code, like, for this platform that I've been taking part of, and it's just about knowing when you are more productive. Like, there are certain times in the day where I just can do a lot of work, and then others I just like need to take the train because it doesn't work. I won't do anything.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think, like, I have my own system for productivity, where I organize things based on projects, based on tasks, and it's always about allowing certain amount of time every day for certain things,
Mhm.
which, I mean, I kind of works. Like, I really have, like, putting, like, I mean, there's always room for improvement,
Mhm.
but
Is
it's
your
just
system Scrum based, by the way?
not really.
Mhm.
It's like based on a system called Para.
Okay.
It's from Tiago Forte. It's like a person that does also. He just published a book about personal knowledge management.
Mhm.
That's building a second brain, which, before I liked it more because it was more like, it felt more science based,
Mhm.
but lately the marketing started to become more, I know, less authentic in my
Mhm.
opinion. But at least the basic things that they have there, it's really cool because they are separated and you can have it. It's like projects, areas of interest, resources, and archive.
Mhm.
So in your projects, like, each project is like a goal for some people. Like, it has an end date, and
Mhm.
then you define tasks that you will get to achieve that project.
Mhm.
And then you can kind of, like, it's also based on getting things done, which is a different. It's a book from David Allen, I think. It's a
Mhm.
beautiful book. It's like the Bible for productivity, where basically you're not supposed to do two tasks at the same time.
Mhm.
What happens sometimes when we think about our task we have to do, you try to think them in order. It's like, for example, if you want to go to invite someone for dinner, you don't think, oh, first I have to invite the person, then I have to call the restaurant, then I will have to get ready and everything. It's not sequential. You think on things based on what's important at that moment. So, for example, okay, first I need to check my availability of time, or then I have to check that the place is near, or that the day is fine. It's like you don't like you create ideas, but you don't organize them immediately. You just create them. You create like have this brainstorming first, and once you're done with this, you get to the second task of your planning, that it's organizing them sequentially. And sometimes we just make a mistake. Oh, I think this, and then it will go first. Then I think of that, and then you try to
Yeah,
organize them at the
sure.
same time. And it's an issue because you are changing, switching context all the time.
Hmm.
And I try to avoid that. And also, like I have a terrible memory now because everything is on my personal knowledge management system.
Okay.
Like even for exams, I had some trouble because I had to memorize certain
Okay. Do
things.
you have some specific platform like Notion or?
I used to use Notion,
Uh-huh.
but I don't trust on their data policies
Okay.
anymore. So I now use Obsidian, which is a platform that's is free, is open source, and it's based on local files in Markdown format.
Mhm.
Which for if you don't really know, this sounds kind of foreign language, but just look for Obsidian, and there are like a lot of forums and communities there that will guide you on how to manage your knowledge. But I
Mhm.
think it's the best. Like there are other options like Rome Research, Athens Research, Anytype, but I like more Obsidian. It's more.
Nice.
It's cool.
I was trying to organize my life not completely based on a Scrum
Mhm.
methodology, but rather than an agile philosophy.
Mhm.
I was trying to do so, but I had a very chaotic 2020, like very chaotic year.
Yes.
And
Happens.
well, that year was awful for a lot of people.
Mhm.
For all of us, it was life changing in some way or another. But in my case, it was leading to a very chaotic behavior in myself. So I was like, I can organize myself like this anymore. And watch what I come to value a lot was peace of mind.
Yes.
So I came across, even though Parasystem and others are very well organized, I came across lean methodology. That Ford, this guy who made the cars, used to have on their line of production to make it more efficient using the less.
Mhm.
And I haven't become completely a minimalist, but since I'm really appreciating peace of mind these days, I use this lean mentality in my life. Like I try to put everything that is not well for me, that is not good, it's doing no good to me, aside,
Mhm. Yeah.
and keep it somewhere else, not in my
Mhm.
life.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's also like good for a philosophy of life, right? Like just have to appreciate what's important for you,
Yeah.
otherwise you will just end up doing things that you don't want, right? But I think like power in that sense is different because it's more about like when you already know what you want to do, how
Mhm.
you organize them. Because I
Okay.
remember like for me, 2020 was the most effective and efficient year of my life.
Mhm.
I was able to fund one organization, do a volunteering work, at the
Mhm.
same time work for a company part time, at the same time, collaborate with this entrepreneurship
Mhm.
project that you know about. At the same time, I was doing like some graphic design courses, like a lot of stuff
Mhm.
that like now it's a bit harder because like I have to study and so and it
Yeah.
requires more time. But during that time, when I was using that system, man, I was able to do everything, and I was also like playing the music, having time for my hobbies,
Mhm.
learning photography, like basically everything. I never felt stressed. So I don't know. I would recommend it. Check it out.
Oh,
Don't
sure.
like. I wouldn't recommend to buy the courses because they are like 1,500 euro, which is not good anymore.
Mhm.
But like, there's a lot of free resources out there that you can just follow.
Sure. That's I'm have a check at least on those ones. And again, how is that side of your life going? How are your projects going? Like.
So right now we like. So university is fine, of course.
Mhm.
Like it's university, it's like it's straightforward.
Yeah.
But besides that, I also have a podcast, as you mentioned before, that we are preparing somehow
Season.
the second season exactly. Um, and then at the same time, I like some time ago, before I went to Europe, I created this organization called Historias que no vemos. That's about normalizing the emotional expression of men in Latin American societies. because what happens here is like most of the time you keep this stupid idea
That
that
you have
people
to be a
don't.
macho.
Exactly, and it's so stupid. So
Yeah.
like there's a lot of communities of feminist people like that do a great work,
Mhm.
but then I've seen this lack of accountability for men to know what we are doing, as allies. Like we also have responsibility to fix these issues.
Mhm.
So we created, like with some friends, we created this organization where we like try to gather stories of people that deal with mental health issues
Mhm.
and how they face them, how they improve them, how they fix them. That were people that weren't well known, that it was mostly men, like to show vulnerable to the society, and it was good. So like we stopped for a while, and we start again preparing like new things for that.
Mhm.
So it's going well in that sense. Also, the Open School Solutions, which is like a startup that I'm collaborating with. Um, it's working right now, I think, in 10 schools or so.
Mhm.
Because it's like a platform for allowing children to guide their own learning. So it's nice, and people like teachers are really happy with it. So it's
It
like,
started in Sweden, right?
no, it's in Norway,
Norway.
kind of, but then it's based on Austria right now.
Okay.
So yeah, like there's good support of the government. We got like there was good funding for it. So yeah, I wouldn't like have any issue about it. Like there's like a lot of future for that. So it's just about being consistent, which is another thing.
Mhm.
Same time, I've been doing some music with some friends. I've been doing some videos with traveling around the Europe. You can see in my Instagram, also my YouTube channel, I think.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna make sure to link all those things on the description below, so you can check around John's website, podcast, Instagram page, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I know. I think everything in general is going well, thankfully.
Mhm.
But it's about consistency.
Okay, so
One thing that I had to learn the bad way was to be consistent, because you can have great dreams one day, you can do like place good work one day, but if you don't do it the next one, it doesn't really matter. Like it doesn't make any impact,
yeah,
right?
it goes the same with I think everything like
Mm.
exercising. For myself, the podcast, it's like I do it every Sunday, no matter what. So well, even though I had very different people here, the ones that I consider successful, they all told me consistency is key.
Yes, more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this like, I think that always make this kind of reflection about mental health,
Mhm.
because sometimes like if you just place everything into consistency, also things don't work because you are too anxious.
Yeah.
So it's about finding this balance. Like when I was younger, I had terrible anxiety and depression issues
Okay.
that people like kind of know about, because I try to be open about it. I
Mhm.
want people to know that it's just normal, it's just human.
Mhm.
But then when you get to a place that you don't know what else to do, you face issues that don't know how to solve, and then you think that there's no help out there,
Okay.
right? So after traveling like to these countries and trying to learn their culture and trying to see how they live, I've learned that every single person in the earth can go through the same issues and get out of them.
Mhm.
And these like issues like depression and anxiety are kind of clubs, that feel really exclusive, that they make you believe that you are the only member of that club. But the truth is that it's not. It's just like the way how you feel it is different to others.
That's the irony, at least with loneliness.
Mhm.
Yeah, that everyone out there feeling lonely, they think they are the only one, but
It's not,
it's
everyone is
not
like
true.
yeah. So finding a balance between your goals, what you can do, how you define success, and how your mental health is in check, I think it's a good way to live a good life. Because no matter what it is, I can tell you now, like, oh yeah, I make six figures right now, and I'm the most successful person in there. Like that doesn't matter for other people. It's just stupid. But then when you define what is success for you, like what you told me, you know how your mental health works, because like then not everyone feels the same way, right?
Yeah.
And you know like what you want to do with your life, and how your consistency works, you can make time for your family, for your hobbies, for all the things you love. And it's just having a good life, you know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this reminds me to an episode. I would do like a shameless hook here, that
Okay.
we have like an episode of my podcast that's I'm ha- um, I'm happy
Hmm.
and I love my life, or something like that.
Okay.
Man, it's been a while, but it's like the first time that I felt that I had that feeling. You know, everything is good and life is good. Like, I'm happy and life is good. That's the thing. Um, and I couldn't feel it until I was like 25 years old or so.
Okay.
And imagine, like, it was because I didn't know myself, and doing all these things and finding your reason to stay alive changes everything.
Yeah, man, all right. It's like once you find who you are. I don't want to say where do you belong because you can belong anywhere or nowhere, and that's okay. But once you can define your happiness and reach it the best way, like it's a lot about being honest
Oh yes,
to
yes.
yourself. Yeah, that changes everything.
Yeah. Sometimes you just like hide it. You don't want to be honest because people, like, you get these expectations of society that, oh, you have to do this, you have to study university, this specific career to be successful. It's like,
Mhm.
no. I mean, of course, it's different when you don't have being economically sustainable, which is a different issue because then you cannot just live without money in this capitalistic world,
Yeah.
sadly. But it's not also about living all your dreams and everything you love because there are some other expectations from other people, right? So it's about being honest, as you said.
Yeah, I think that goes straightforward, right? Like be honest to yourself, be true to yourself. Actually, I learned that from skaters. Their motto was "be true," and it was,
Yeah.
and somehow I didn't get it, and then I did. Like be true. It's like this guy who used to skate a lot in Switzerland. He was like, I was supposed to be an engineer or a medic, a doctor or whatever, but I feel really happy here just skating every day. And I was like, be true. And then I understand it. So,
Yeah, this reminds me also to the book. There is this book from Oprah Winfrey, that's
okay.
called "What Happened to You," that is about how most of the time when you do certain things that are bad, you usually think, "Oh, what's wrong with me?"
Mhm.
Right? But they try to change that to make it more, "What happened to me?" Because in early childhood until 10 years old, a lot of traumas can happen, and depending on how your childhood was, you might or might not be able to fix that during your adulthood.
Mhm.
So if you want to be true to yourself, you have to be honest about what happened in your past, in your childhood.
Mhm.
And most of the time it's hard to face that. Sometimes people just hated you and you didn't like it, and you didn't want to go back there because it hurts. It's still it's so awful. But
Mhm.
then when you go back, you accept it and you forgive that, which is also, it's so important. Then you become free and you can be true to yourself, because before that, oh man, you have so many barriers around you because, oh, I don't want to do that. I can trust this kind of person because people like that did that to me before.
Mhm.
Or I cannot drink water because I was about to drown when I was younger, and then it's just because of that. And then
Yeah.
it's a process.
Fixing trauma is something completely apart. It's a whole topic to it. It's not something you can solve in a day or.
Oh no, definitely not. It's a process every day, and sometimes you just fall, and then things don't work for one day, and then it's about knowing that it's part of it as well, right?
Yeah. John, I'm wondering. Um, I think you're living in Denmark, based. You're based in Denmark because you're having your masters there. But if you could be based in any country you desire, which one will that be? Even I know you will be traveling a lot, even though being based on any country. But
Yeah. So, I personally, I would love to be based on Austria
Mhm.
or Germany, because that's where I feel like home. That's where I feel I belong.
Okay.
But yeah, it really depends to each one. Where would you be based if you?
Huh, if I could pick, maybe I'll be based on Switzerland. I think.
Mhm.
I don't know Japan. I want to go to Japan, and Maybe I won't fall in love. Maybe I will be completely disappointed. I don't know what will happen there.
It's an interesting country for sure.
Yeah, but I want to go to Japan. Still, I think for these years, I prefer to be based exactly here in La Paz. I think maybe that's why I'm based here right now, because I'm being honest to myself. But later on, I would like to be based in Switzerland. It's very peaceful. It's
Hmm.
now that I really want to enjoy my family because my parents are getting older. So I'll prefer to be here for a while and then just go.
Hmm.
I won't say I'm a lonely person. I'm always surrounded by people and I always feel in company.
Hmm.
Still, I like to live alone. I like it a lot. It's like I have room to think.
Right.
I feel like I grow when I can be a lot of time with myself,
Hmm.
and to have these reflections, have these meditations on what I'm doing, what I want, and I think
Hmm.
that's good for myself.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah. You know, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, sure.
And what you said reminds me to something I found really interesting between Germany and Egypt, for example.
Okay.
I remember like when I was talking to my German friend, she was like, when you are like older than 20 and you haven't left your parents' house,
Hmm.
it's kind of a failure, because you're supposed to be already independent. You're supposed to, travel around the world, find a job and everything. Even after 18, some people do it. While in Egypt, if you leave your parents before 30 or so, it's considered also failure. But because it kind of feels that your parents were not able to give you a quality life.
Okay.
So it's like a different perspective, and both are valid and both make sense. And this, I think these are the cool things that you find when you travel around the world, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know, like where, like which perspective would you prefer most?
Hmm.
I don't know.
So again, in Egypt, if you leave your parents too early, it's a failure, kind
Yeah,
of failure.
because your parents didn't give you a good quality of life.
That might be true for some people.
Yeah.
That might be true for people in Egypt, I think.
Mm.
Still, I really think that leaving the nest is something you have to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really Western perspective,
I know,
and
right?
it's like it's also interesting because I think it can also be product of the colonization of
Hmm.
the Americas, because we are highly influenced by that, right? But then when you start to dig more into the Asian culture, in Middle East culture,
Hmm.
you start to see like most of these things are just influenced by them. It's
Hmm.
not really like how we should think, but it's just
Hmm.
how we were influenced. So what happened to us?
Yeah, maybe. Or culture, it's a mixture of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Even though all my friends here in the past will say Pasenian people consider themselves Pasenian, I always hear different stories like, oh, my grandfather was from Spain, oh, my great grandfather was from Germany, um, half Japanese, half Bolivian, and it's like in Europe, well, maybe not in Switzerland because it's a very varied country, but in Germany, there are cities that are a lot of people is just German,
Mm.
and here you just won't find that. Like in whole Latin America, it's like
Mm.
everybody's a mixture.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's also like it's more about being more of something, right?
Hmm.
The problem I think is like sometimes we just give too much value, like we allowed race to be too much influential to
Hmm.
our society, which is something I don't really appreciate here. Um, but yeah, it's just a matter of perspective in the end, right?
Hmm. I know. Well, I won't really appreciate here in the city. I'll say maybe it's just how people think it's someone else's problem when they do something wrong. Like, for example, just yesterday, I was feeling like skating.
Hmm.
I'll say, okay, I'll go skating just half an hour, maybe an hour, and I go to the street and walks a few blocks, and I step on shit. Literally, it was a dog's, and I think, okay, someone had their dog just doing that thing, and not picking it up. Like I immediately understood like this is someone thinking it's somebody else's problem, and then it's your problem. And I was like, I can
Mhm.
skate like this. I'm gonna trash my skateboard. I have to clean this. I have to come back home, clean it. Then it was too late, and I was like, I'm not going again. But you know how these little decisions can influence a lot.
Mhm. Hmm.
That's
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
It's
that's something I don't like. Then in Europe, people at least think a little bit about it. Like this could ruin someone's day, or let's just not trash the train seats. Someone has to be here after us.
I understand your perspective,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I think like it's again a matter of perspective
Hmm.
because maybe for some people, if you don't greet them in the morning,
Hmm.
then you're ruining their day, right? And
Yeah,
then where do you see that? Like in some countries, right? And it's like,
yeah. Here it's like you have to say "Buenos dias" or "Buenas tardes" in the bus. But in Europe, if you go to the train and say "Guten Tag," you're like, what's with this
yeah,
guy?
exactly, right? So it's like the fact that someone left that there um, might not be directly because they thought it was someone else's problem, but it's
Mhm.
because it's just part of their understanding of the world.
Yeah,
Which
I'm
I
also.
understand because like that's what happens. I think
Mhm.
when you travel to a different country, to a different culture,
Mhm.
and you start to adopt things that you love,
Yeah.
and then you're like you want to go back to one place, and then you're like, oh, this thing that I love from here is not here,
Yeah.
and then because of that, I'm pissed.
I
Which
I get it. I'm also thinking that it could be on a straight dog. Like.
yeah, exactly. So then
Mhm.
it's like it's not it's about being stoic, like
Yeah.
stoicism, like just give value, like it's not about what happens, it's about what value you give it to it,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, I think like that's a good way to when you travel to so many places and you see so many different cultures,
Mhm.
it's a good way to live life because otherwise you will be pissed at everything, because like there will be
Come on,
things.
not everything.
Yeah,
It
but I
was
mean,
just an isolated case in the
yeah,
circle
but for
once.
example, like let's say that you love quinoa juice, right?
Okay.
I love that, but then I don't find it in Europe. Like everywhere I want to go, like I'm pissed. Oh, why is these people doing no? Like it doesn't,
Yeah,
right?
there's options. You have to try new things.
Exactly, right? But then that's adjust to where you are,
Yeah,
and everything
exactly.
cannot be perfect. So like the fact that I shit on dog's shit, like
Mhm.
I step on dog shit like today. I mean, if I was in Europe, then I will be pissed.
Okay.
If I'm here, I don't really care because I know that there might be multiple reasons why that's there. So yeah, I know. Like I think the more you travel, the more you kind of have to lose a bit your identity
Mhm.
because then you have to adapt to where you are.
Yeah, that's hard. That's something
It's
I
hard. It's
find.
definitely hard.
I think the only downside to travel to a lot of countries, it's for me, that you left a piece of your heart in every place, so it's never complete again.
Yes. And then you get to appreciate the more and more
Yeah.
the more you are far from it. And yeah, it's hard because I still have like a lot of friends in Japan.
Hmm.
I had a lot of things I would love to do in Japan. By the same time, I have a lot of things to do I would love to do in Switzerland,
Yeah.
or I have now things I can do in Denmark, or I things I can do here.
Yeah.
It's like, man, if I could go everywhere in the world, I would do it one place every day.
Nice.
But it's not possible.
Yeah, there's the stuff you have to leave behind when you're traveling a lot. There's people you have to leave behind.
Yes.
Ways of doing things, but I think even though it's the downside, as I call it before, it's part of it.
Mm.
It's what it has, and
Mm.
I even find it beautiful in some way. Like
Yes.
yeah, this phrase that art comes from pain.
Yeah,
It
that's true.
goes like
That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
sure.
Yeah. Because sometimes you just like when you love one place too much
Hmm.
and you leave that place and you don't have this feeling of wholeness anymore, then you can direct that feeling to whatever you want, and
Yeah.
people do it. We create beautiful pieces of art, right?
Speaking of which, tell me about your music.
Okay, that's an interesting thing. So, few things first. I play the cello.
Hmm.
I'm not that great at it yet, or as much as I would love to. But yeah, it's something that helps me to relax.
Okay.
At the same time, I now I'm making some kind of mix with pop and rap with a
Okay.
friend. He's from India, and we gonna release some music in like some months still. But we, trying to mix that, and we are doing everything in English because
Hmm.
it's an easy language to get open interpretations for everything. But yeah, not everything ready yet,
Hmm.
but it's coming soon.
Nice. So you'll say the genre is a mixture of classical music with the cello and pop rapping with the Indian guy, or
No, like I do the pop part.
okay.
Yes, yeah. It's not really my my ground. I love metal music and classical music, but it's good, to experience new things. That very
Yeah,
well,
no,
right?
really.
It's like trying new food. It's like, let's say that you go to Germany and you don't try sausage, right? It's like
Yeah,
that would be bad. Tell me you
no,
tried.
of course I
Okay,
try.
because that would be like, there was this post from Sky Scanner the other day on Facebook. They were like, these are the top 44 food that people try, and
Mhm.
we will assure you that you haven't tried at least 10 of them or something like that.
What's the name for it? Brad Bull, I think.
Yeah, I mean there are many. It
Yeah,
just burst like every kind of
Brad Bull
burst.
was one of my favorite.
Mm.
Fondue, man. I fell in love with fondue, with Swiss fondue. Like,
You see, you still miss that. You can cook that
I'm
here now.
cooking that
Okay,
here.
cool.
Like, a side of me I discovered in Switzerland. It's that I really like to cook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and even though there I had more chance to cook because I was living alone here, well, I don't have that much time to cook. It's like I try to cook a lot because I just like to play in the kitchen. Like I'm not
Yeah.
like a professional or something. I would love to, but still, just playing around. It's something I really enjoy, and
Mm.
I find myself enjoying a lot. You like to cook,
Yeah.
John?
Um, so
Not that
yes and
much.
no.
Okay.
I like to be efficient with it.
Okay.
So like every time I cook, I try to cook for 3 meals. Like let's say 2 dinners, one lunch,
Okay.
or 2 lunch, one dinner. It depends. Because otherwise I would spend too much time there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So actually, my partner loves to cook, like try new things.
Okay.
So it's like they like try new things,
Mm-hmm.
and I make them efficient. So it's like I try
Okay.
to cook in 30 minutes, whatever it
Nice.
is. Because otherwise, like when you are doing university and all those stuff, you have to prioritize things, right? You cannot
Yeah.
always enjoy food. In that sense.
Yeah. By the way, I'm also talking about weekends. I'm not
Mm.
talking about every day because you're in the office and you just can cook. You have maybe sometime in the night or in the morning to cook a little bit and be efficient, as you were saying. But the weekends, I really would like to have time to just play in the kitchen.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good skill to have when you travel as a student
Oh yeah,
abroad.
sure.
Because I have some friends who were like, "No, John, I'm not gonna cook, and the only thing I'm gonna try is Subway everywhere I go because that's the same thing, and there are no surprises. It's quality food for them, and it's easy, I think. And I'm not that kind of person. That's too
Okay.
much for me. I try to cook.
I can understand this feeling of just the security to every day getting the same and getting no surprises. I'll relate a little bit to that at the beginning. I was like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I remember that.
But there are so many new ingredients that you have to cook.
Yeah, man. Like when you like, for example, people from India, right?
Uh-huh.
They have so many spices. It's
Yeah,
so
that's
good.
crazy.
Like I think like part of life is trying new food.
Yeah,
Like at least for me,
definitely,
being
definitely,
part like being successful is also trying new kinds of food. I might not cook it, but I want to try.
definitely, man.
So yeah, it's good. Like for everyone that's wants to travel around the world, like I think one of the things you have to do is to know that you won't find the food you find at home everywhere, and you have to be fine with it.
Yeah.
I remember I had one friend that traveled to, I don't remember, but they didn't have one certain ingredient that we have here.
Okay.
She was struggling because she was like, I miss that. I really miss that. And she couldn't find it. So then what do
Okay.
you do? Like, you have to accept that.
Yeah. It's like you also made me remember a funny story. Uh, Sometimes I sail I'll say Fridays. I'll like to eat kebab
Okay.
in Switzerland.
Mhm.
So I went to this place to eat kebab, and what was funny is that it's just a mini mall, and you don't have chairs. You have these really tall tables,
Mhm.
and I ate like that. The thing is, there was a supermarket and a kebab place.
Mhm.
What was really funny was the guy cooking the kebabs will always go to the supermarket, get something, and go back to it. And the girl working in the supermarket will always go to the kebab place, have a kebab.
Yeah, it's like you just trying it. Yeah, I mean, you get tired of the food you cook, right?
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I have to be honest, I will go early just to see that happen because it was so funny.
I mean, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
funny to see. Still, I really love the kebabs there. I'm not missing the kebabs, but it's crazy how Europe just love that. It's the same
Yeah.
in Germany, Italy,
Yeah, everywhere in Europe.
Spain. Yeah,
Oh man, yeah, I miss that as well.
and there's a good place for kebab. Let me take you there after
Yeah, for
we
sure.
record this,
Yeah, yeah,
or if you have time in the weekend.
yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
that's
Okay.
cool, John. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me check this. Oh, it's been close to an hour, I
Uh
guess.
huh.
So even though I'm enjoying myself a lot, it's time to call it a podcast.
All right.
Sure. Well, people, thank you for being here. There's always someone, not someone, there's always people who stay till the end,
Mm-hmm.
which surprises me because it's a very long format.
Yeah.
Still, I'll like to thank everybody for staying around. Again, check John's social media on the description and be here next week. There's a episode coming every Sunday, so bye. Take
Yeah.
care.
Thank you,
Have a good
guys.
one.
It's always really nice to be here. And yeah, just live your best life. I think that's the best I can say now.
Yeah, that's something good to say for ending this episode, John.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Again, I need an assistance.
You're
Assistance.
telling me you don't. Oh my god.